Well, I was going to say something about the pulse price. Can I ask you a question about something you were saying here?
Sure.
So you were saying like you could see it go down and revisit the bottom. I'm curious how that would, because one side of your mouth a few minutes ago, you're saying, hey, I could see ETH to 4,000 pretty soon. We have the ETH ETF on the horizon. Now, in no way, every time I say ETH doing well will help PulseChain, I don't mean it as in like, oh, there is a wallet out there that holds 170,000 Ethereum that seems like it likes to buy PulseChain. I don't mean just because of that. I also just mean generally ETH going up is good for all altcoins. I mean, like that is basically like the altcoin index. So I'm just curious. I mean, like, if you can marry those two things. I mean, I guess in the short term, anything's possible like that. But if we would see ETH just start to charge on an ETF approval or launch, I don't know that I'd see Pulse bleeding much more past that. I mean, I guess it's possible, but I don't know.
Well,
Boy, you'd think the alts would start to move. I don't know.
for those who are wallet watching, that think that as soon as we get $4,000, $5,000 Ethereum, that something's going to happen. I don't think that's the case at all. I don't think anything will happen until, that wallet has been known to make the Bitcoin top the last couple cycles. They've called it the top on the day. Usually the Ethereum top is followed roughly 28 days immediately after that. So I think there are some plays at hand that won't happen until then, if they happen at all. We shouldn't obviously expect them to, but I don't think any cash will be deployed. But to your point, the markets will be stronger. Like the strength of the market, the overall sentiment, a rising tide lifts all boats, so to speak, will kind of happen. Things start to get a little euphoric. People get in better moods. Green candles cause people to buy. Those type of things actually happen. But yeah, I mean, I don't see that type of thing happening with PulseChain. I think there's probably other DAI and things like that sitting on the sidelines that would probably get deployed by a lot of bigger whales. There are people out there waiting for signals. And it's not just the one that everybody talks about. There are some large players. Obviously, we know Godwill's out there. We know there's a couple others. We know there are several that probably sold early, realizing that the markets would dump because they couldn't hold through a lot of this stuff. Not everybody was bullish from the beginning. So there's people that are sitting on some major amounts of dry powder out there. Once these signals start to happen, then they start deploying their capital. So, there are plenty of seasoned investors out there just waiting for people to shake it out, to get the weak hands out. Why would they want to pump the price if somebody's just going to continuously dump it? So, they know what they're doing. It's just a matter of playing that waiting game. And like you said, as much as it sucks to sit there sitting on your hands and doing nothing, if you don't have dry powder, that's the best thing to do. Because if you're trying to jump in and out and do ratios and try and make plays, you're going to end up worse off than what you were if you would have just done nothing. So 9 times out of 10, that's how it works. Occasionally you'll get lucky with one and think you're a god trader, and then you end up losing it all on the next one. So, again, sometimes sitting there doing nothing is just sometimes the best thing to do if you don't have more to dollar cost average into. But again, there's ways to do it. There's lots of ways. Sell plasma, drive Uber, get a second job. There are things that you can do to take advantage of right now. Like, this is the time to be making moves if you haven't already.
Plus, not only that, but like talking about other strategies. I mean, if you do have some time on your hand, I mean, because I had notes in here about the psychological talk of getting through the bull market, which we're pretty much talking about right now, but also creating content like YouTube. I understand this is a big undertaking. I don't expect everybody to go out there and start a YouTube channel. There are many people that should not have a YouTube channel that do have a YouTube channel. There's very many people that have a podcast that definitely shouldn't have a podcast. I'm aware of that. But like Twitter content, like if you are somebody with a desk job that, you get paid for working 8 hours a day, but you actually work like 3. You can easily create content on Twitter and get paid for it, about this stuff if you want to. Like, at least, because not only will you then potentially be able to earn some other income? But you're educating yourself more about these systems. You're engaging with more people. You're helping the ecosystem that you're involved in. You know, like it's not like we make lots of money from YouTube. I mean, very little of these people out here doing what we do now. Maybe some with a lot more subs, but even Crypto Coffee, like who has like 35K subs. I mean, like I don't know what he makes from YouTube, but like I'm sure it's nowhere near, you know, any crypto gains that he's made, you know, and
Right.
it's more just boosting the signal and trying to do that. So I would encourage you to do that. I mean, like I'm not going to call you lazy if you don't do it, but I mean, it certainly would help you feel better about your investment and, you know, help
Yeah.
you onboard more people, even if you're not holding
Yep.
their hand doing it in real life, you know.
I like this, Fast Abdul. What if there was a wrapped Ethereum Pulse yield farm that paid over 100% APR? Great idea. You know, the Hart's Law, right? It would tie things together really well. However, a lot of the volume is already tied. I mean, there's a lot of value, Ethereum value bridged over from the bridge. So, you know, a lot of the value here is from Ethereum. So when Ethereum goes up, I can see it translating over to us a little bit, not directly, as there are no real trading pairs. But I do really like that idea of that trading pair in the farms. So yeah, that'd be pretty awesome.
Right. That would be very cool. Actually, real quick, if you want to, looks like Mark Henretta is having a rough time, but if you want to, yeah, I wish I had $1 for every time over the last 3.5 years. It's a screaming buy. Well, yeah, I mean, like some people were wrong along the way based on certain time frames, but it's all about what's your actual time frame. I mean, if people were saying that it was a screaming buy at 50 cents, um, yeah, that was within the last 3.5 years. So,
Well,
you
when
know,
Hex hit a penny, I thought that was the bottom. I was wrong. Like I thought that was the
right.
absolute bottom. You know, so we've all made wrong calls and thought that it couldn't go much lower. And you know, there are a lot of times where that happens. Every time when you think it can't go lower, it will. So we all
Well, keep
need
in mind too,
to stop thinking that way.
keep in mind too, like you were talking when Hex hit a penny, you didn't think it would go lower. Like the whole ecosystem, if there weren't this like you know, kind of dilution into the 4 or 5 tokens or whatever you want to say, like
Yeah,
Hex would still be over 2 cents right now if we were
sure.
all combined together. So I mean, like, you know, Hex going down as low as it is partially because of that. So I don't know if Mark's comment is a salty one or just where he's at, but you know, I would say if your attitude feels like that, you're probably not going to do well, you know. And trust me, I've had an attitude. I've had days like that, and maybe you're just having one of those days and you're typing that comment. But I mean, generally overall, if you can cultivate, you know, a longer time frame and try to not look at the charts every day, you'll have a better time, you know, with any investment.
Well, another way to look at that too is, Mark, if you've done it, you've dollar cost averaged into a lot of positions probably that lowered your average buy-in. So, you know, it's not necessarily a bad thing if everyone says it's a screaming buy and you do buy in and it goes lower and you do it again, you know, you're only lowering your average cost, entry cost. So it's not
Hmm.
always a bad thing when you hear people say that, but you know, and it's very rare for anybody to catch the actual bottom and say, it's it, guys, this is the bottom. People
Right.
will say that all the time, hoping that they're right, and very rarely are they. So